Awareness is your ability to recognize what's happening around you, what's happening to you, what's happening inside you. Awareness is knowing where you are and where you want to go. What you've got to start, stop, and continue to get there. It's how you close the gap from where you are to where you want to be. I'm Brian Cain, mental performance coach, and one of the biggest challenges that I see with all the coaches and athletes I work with, especially with teenagers and young adults, is the lack of self-awareness. It's that they haven't yet been able to develop clearly understanding and evaluating where they are and where they want to go. They do not understand that you have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance, and that being in control of yourself is a skill that can be trained just like the physical skills of your sport. And it really stuck out to me when I had a chance to work with UFC fighter George St. Pierre at UFC 74. It was his fight against Josh Koscheck, his first fight after losing his title to Matt Serra. George was an 11-1 favorite against Matt Serra. Serra had won the show, The Ultimate Fighter, to earn the right to step inside of the octagon with the champion George St. Pierre. Now, rewind before, and George won the title by defeating a guy named Matt Hughes. Well, that was their second fight. In their first fight, when George stepped in the octagon to face his idol, to face the iconic current champion Matt Hughes, George couldn't even look him in the face at the stare down because he was fighting his idol. He said, "I gave too much credit to Matt Hughes and I lost the fight before it started." Well, after he won the title, his first fight against Matt Serra, he had gone into that fight doing the opposite of what he did with Matt Hughes. He had given Matt Hughes too much credit and he didn't give Matt Serra enough credit. And George lost both of those fights essentially before they began. In the rematch with Matt Serra, George dominated because he had prepared the right way. Awareness is the precursor to all growth. Awareness comes before growth. What you're aware of, you can control and go to work on. What you're unaware of is going to control you. So if you're unaware of the importance of preparation, if you're unaware that everyone who steps inside of the octagon is capable of beating you, if you're unaware that confidence and fear are not mutually exclusive, it's not that I'm confident or afraid, it's that they live together at the same time, and you're going to have to go compete and you're going to have to go perform with both a level of confidence and fear at the same time. It just comes down to how you process it. If you're unaware of that, you're going to go searching for a feeling. Why do I not feel confident? Instead of searching for a focus. What is it that I need to do here now? You see, once George learned that you have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance, once you learned to have more awareness around what we call your BFS, his body language, his focus, and his self-talk, he was able to go out there and perform at an elite level. Now, here's an interview from inside his hotel room after beating Josh Koscheck at UFC 74, where he then went on a run of undefeated, not losing fights, undefeated and losing rounds. Didn't lose a round for the next 10 years, maybe one or two to Johnny Hendricks inside of his career. Here's him talking about awareness and signal lights, recognizing his red, yellow, and green lights inside of his hotel room after the fight. And realize that here's the analogy. Green means I'm in control. Yellow means I'm losing control. Red means I've lost control. And as a high-level performer, you've got to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance. Let's listen to George St. Pierre talking about his signal lights the night after beating Josh Koscheck, our first fight working together.
Talk about, we did an activity where we identified signal lights for you. What is the signal light analogy? People will hear us talk about it, hear your trainers, Faraz talk about, George, stay in the green. What are they talking about? What are signal lights?
Well, red light is the thing that you have no control on it. Absolutely no control. For example, are you going to win or are you going to lose? For example, stuff like are you gonna be injured or not? Because you can twist your ankle by going down the stairs. It can happen to everybody. Those things you don't control it, so it's called red light. Yellow light is thing that you control, but you don't totally have the control on it. Like what the fans gonna say about me. For example, if you a nice guy and you talk well, and most of the fans gonna say a good thing about you, but even some of them not gonna be on your side. So you don't control those things 100%. It's called the yellow light, and the green light is the thing that you have the total absolute control on it. For example, when I'm getting ready to a fight, and when I'm in my training process, do I push myself 100% during the fight? Yes, I did. So I control those things. Do I'm going to in bed early, or I'm going out with my friend? Yes, I control this thing. Do I eat well, or I eat junk food? I control those things. So those things are called green lights.
And talk about, with the green lights, were you aware of, because one of the things with mental game is what we try to do is we develop an awareness for the athlete. And in George's case, it was he needed to become aware that he was carrying a brick of Matt Serra, that he was still holding on to that loss, and that was negatively affecting him, not only in his fight game, but it was helping, he was losing sleep, and it was affecting him in all other avenues of his life. So once he's aware of that, we then give him a strategy to use. Signal lights would be a strategy, or even green lights or yellow lights. And then the responsibility becomes the implementation of the strategy, which comes down to the responsibility of the athlete.
Now that you have an understanding on the importance of awareness and the role that awareness plays in modifying your behavior and giving yourself the best chance for success through preparation and performance, I want to share with you 4 strategies that I use with all of my clients to help them build the awareness they need to win, or what we like to call ATW, awareness to win. Strategy 1 is to know the difference between your best and your worst performances. All you're going to do here is in your notebook, you're going to take and you're going to draw a line down the center of a piece of paper. You're going to write best, you're going to write worst, and you're going to list the characteristics of your performance of when you're at your best and when you're at your worst. And you're going to start to go looking for tendencies, and then make the conscious choice to do more of what you do when you're going your best and do less of what you're doing when you're underperforming. Because realize that decisions determine destiny, and it's not your nature. It's not your nurture that determines who you become. It's your decisions that determine who you become. So let's decide to act more in alignment with who we are when we're performing our best and less of who we are when we're performing our worst. Because no matter what happens during competition, you are responsible, and you can control your body language, your focus, and your self-talk. Strategy number 2 is to dive in exactly on your BFS, your body language, focus, and self-talk. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to write down on the left side of your page, body language, focus, and self-talk. And then you're going to make 2 columns. Green lights when I'm in control of myself, red, yellow when I start to lose it. It's an activity that's going to look similar to what we did earlier with our best and worst performances, but now we're talking about body language, focus, and self-talk specifically. So when you're in green lights, what's your body language like? Remember, green lights is I'm in control, I'm getting results, I'm performing the way I want to. And then red, yellow lights is I've kind of losing control or lost control. So it's probably going to look something like this. Your green lights, body language is big, got swagger, 10 feet tall and bulletproof, carrying myself with confidence and an edge. Focus is on what I'm doing right now in the moment. Focus is on doing my job. Focus is where my feet are. Self-talk is positive, it's supportive, it's aggressive, it's you got this, it's what I'm trying to do and not what I'm trying to avoid, or there isn't any. And then when I get into red or yellow lights, what happens? My body language, shoulders are slumped. I get small. I feel tight. Focus goes on what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future or something that's outside of my control, my teammates, my coaches, the fans, an official. And then what happens to my self-talk? It gets negative. You should have. Why didn't you? Here we go again. And when you have the awareness around when I'm in green, here's what I'm doing. When I'm in red or yellow, here's what I'm doing. You can again make the decision to get back into being in control of yourself in green lights. You'd go through your release routine, right? Following your 3 steps to be able to flush it, that physical action, that deep breath on a focal point, and that verbal trigger, that key, that mantra that you say to yourself to get you back to being in green lights, which we'll talk more about in the future. Let's talk about drill number 3 that you can use to build awareness. I call it the 3 Ps of red, yellow light and the 3 Ps of green light, sticking with our concept of signal lights as a key to teach awareness and that you've got to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance. Let's start with the 3 Ps of green light. When you're in green lights and you're performing your best, it's present, process, and pounding. I'm in the present moment right here, right now. I'm focused on my process, in my routine, and I'm pounding the zone, let's say as a pitcher. I'm pounding the target as a golfer. I'm pounding the moment as a basketball player, just right here where my feet are. Then when I get into red or yellow lights and I get outside of that present process and pounding, I get into what we call prayer, primal, and perfect. It's a concept that comes right out of the book Heads Up Baseball by Ken Ravizza and Tom Hansen. And they use the 3 Ps to help coaches, athletes, parents better communicate through those red light moments where you're losing control. So as a performer, ask yourself, when you struggle, do you go prayer mode? You just hope to get the job done. Do you go into primal mode? You grit your teeth and you go caveman approach and you kind of lose, you get that tunnel vision and lose awareness and you're just going hard, but maybe not in the right direction, right? Maybe trying too hard and beating yourself because it's like in quicksand. The faster you fight, the harder you go, the quicker you sink. Or do you get into perfect mode where you think you got to make the perfect shot? You got to throw the perfect pass as a quarterback. You got to have perfect technique instead of just finding a way to win. So if you can relate to present, process, pounding, that's green light, prayer, primal, perfect, that's red or yellow light, start to use this language as a way to recognize when you're getting out of control. So again, we've now gone through 3 of our strategies for building awareness. Best and worst performance breakdown, green, yellow, red as it relates to body language, focus, and self-talk, and the difference between the 3 Ps of present, process, pounding, and the 3 Ps of prayer, primal, perfect. Our last strategy 4 today, is self-talk training. What to say when you talk to yourself. You see, you're going to talk to yourself. It's just, are you saying what's productive to help you in performance, or are you saying what's counterproductive in that red, yellow light voice? And what we want to make sure we're doing is that when we talk to ourselves, we know what to say, that we're talking to ourselves, not listening. So the strategy that we use here is called a mantra. A mantra is something that you say to yourself when things get hard to keep you in the moment. It might be right here, right now. It might be execute this pitch. It might be fairways, see the target, hit the target. It might be the time is now, the place is here. It might be work fast, pound down. Whatever it is for you, you have that mantra. When I prepare my best, I am the best. In a training context, it might be 1 rep at a time, right here, right now. Whatever you would say to yourself, this play, align, assign, execute in football. Whatever it is for you, you come up with that self-talk statement. So what I encourage you to do is to write down 3 self-talk statements, 3 mantras that you can come back to. And you might even use it as at the tip of the spear in competition as a hitter in the batter's box. My friend Sean Casey, who used to take a 10-year Major League Baseball player, would take an index card and he would write down 3 mental keys for him, essentially 3 short, simple mantras. He'd write down, see the ball, be easy, hammer it. And he would have that with him as a way to bring awareness if he started getting out of control, to lock it into right now. If he started focusing too broad, he'd bring it into right here, right now, where his feet are, by saying, see the ball, be easy, hammer it. So let's cut to the clip of Sean Casey on the MLB Network talking about how he would use those 3 mini mantras as a way to control his self-talk.
Something you did on the on-deck circle that helped center you? I did. You know what was great? Harvey Dorfman, who's the Mental Game of Baseball, Mental Keys to Hitting. Kids, if you don't have the books, go get them. Mental Game of Baseball, Mental Keys to Hitting by Harvey Dorfman and Carl Keel. Harvey used to tell me, when you get on the on-deck circle, write in your back, write on a note card 3 things that you want to do to keep things simple. And I did. I found out. I would always say to myself, see the ball, be easy, and hammer it. And I looked at that I would keep it in my back pocket. I would come out the on-deck circle. Boom, I'd put the weight on just like this. I'd get ready. I'd pull the card out. See the ball, be easy, hammer it.
Well, again, let's summarize and bring this video to a close. Awareness is the first step to growth, and you have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance. You see, what you're aware of, you can work on, you can do something about. What you're unaware of is going to work on you. So we want to build awareness, that awareness to win, so we can be in control of ourselves, so we can control our performance, and so that we can become consistent with our preparation and with our performance and our reflection to help us speed up that learning curve and get the results that we've been looking for. Today, we talked about 4 different drills that you can do to increase your awareness. Number 1, the difference between your best and worst performance. Number 2, your red, yellow, and green light, self-talk, body language, and focus. Your 3 Ps when you're in red lights, prayer, primal, perfect. When you're in green, present, process, and pounding, like pounding the moment, pounding what I'm doing. And then our self-talk statements, let's call them our 3 mini mantras that you'd write down. Once you go through those 4 exercises, you'll have a much stronger awareness of what you're doing when you're performing your best and when you're underperforming. And then what you're going to be able to do is make the decisions to have something to go to. Let's call it a release, 3-step release, a physical action. Let's say a pitcher cleaning the rubber, a bowler wiping the oil off his ball, a golfer cleaning his club, or maybe even what we would call the clap and clear method. That I clap my hands, wipe my chest, it's gone, and I clear that, and I'm getting back to green lights. Once you have the awareness that you're in red or yellow, or that you're underperforming, or that you're not going your best, you're not in the right headspace, right? You don't have that mind right, you have something to go to. Physical action, deep breath on a focal point, and a verbal trigger, something you say, enter those mini mantras to get you back in control of yourself. So identify your best worst. Identify your body language focus and self-talk in red, and then in green lights, make sure you write down your 3 Ps, prayer, primal perfect, present, process, pounding, and then write down your 3 mini mantras that will increase your awareness and give you the best chance for success.